everyone, Tony D, and welcome to another Screenwriter Fix. And today we're going to talk about the Predator universe, from Predator and Predator 2 and Predator versus Alien. Fixing the Predator universe isn't all that tough because most of the movies are compartmentalized. And the good thing about the Predator movies is there's always been an implication of a wider world and a great history. A lot of that happened in Predator 2, which is why I cite it as such a great movie. The end of Predator 2, spoilers, one of the characters gets a trophy, and it's a gun, an old flintlock pistol from the pirate days, and it's got a date on it, and I forget what words on it, and the Predator sort of gives it as like a trophy back, and in the background of the Predator ship, which you get to see a brief glimpse of, you see the various skulls that are trophies. You see a couple of human skulls, but you also see an alien skull, like a queen, alien queen. So that, eventually tied the Predator movies into the Alien movies. Unfortunately, the Alien versus Predator movies never really jibed. They weren't great. I enjoyed Predator 1, love Predator 2. Predator with the Alien Brody movie, I don't know what you'd call it. I forget what they called that one. Maybe Predator 3. That was pretty good. I thought that was pretty watchable. The rest of them, I think what the problem with more so the Alien movies and somewhat with the Predator movies is that you can't really use the Predator and the Alien characters as characters too much. They're not very dynamic because they're too busy being monstrous, So that's a huge drawback. So most of the action and character development all has to take place with the humans, and it tends to boil down to, oh no, how do we get away from these guys? And that's probably one of the reasons you can't make too many of these movies. They're not great in that respect. There's not a high bar for that kind of movie. Like, that's why the earlier movies are good, because it's the first time you see them. And the second movie's good because you see them again, and maybe they up the stakes and add more aliens. Now, with the Alien movie, we're in the world of Prometheus, and that I felt really derailed the aliens. It'd be an easy fix for aliens just to mention that the entire planet where the Nostromo and all those events of Prometheus happened just gets nuked from space in order to wipe out the alien hybrids or the prototype aliens that existed there. And you could then move on with the quote-unquote true aliens that we all like, and not deal with these like early prototype aliens, which didn't seem to have as hard and fast rules as the first appearance of the alien in '79 with Alien and Alien 2. So, but the main fix we're working on is the Predator movies. There's not a lot to fix here. The question is, where do you take the Predator now? And I think taking him into the future really doesn't get you much. Unless you're going to explore the Predator culture in some way, unless you can finally get to the point where predators and humans are communicating on a regular basis in some way, it's almost impossible to make a future Predator movie all that great. Really, it's about different cultures and people reacting to the Predator. So one of my pitches, and I think I talked about this before in a previous video, I did a Dark Horse comic pitch for Spartacus versus the Predator. So the premise being, of course, that the Predators come to different planets when it's very hot and there's a lot of conflict. This would take place during the Spartacus uprising. And basically the gladiators are the pinnacle of fighting men, and the Predators the pinnacle of intergalactic hunter. And the cool thing would be, of course, you could scale back the Predator weapons. Now, that I would scale it back so that the Predators don't have so much gear, and they actually have to use their spears more. They don't have things that'll just fly around and kill people, because this is hundreds of years prior to the events of the actual Predator movies. And you could even go back and do the pirate movie, where the Predator has to fight the pirates. And that would be an interesting movie too. And same thing, same rules apply. So you'd want to scale back accordingly. You'd want to have a Predator that maybe, lands on Earth and has to get back within a certain period of time just to get off the planet again. Not necessarily one of these big ships. And you could, through the visuals of the movie, tell the story of the Predators and how they're developing. And maybe give some sort of explanation of why they only come back every several hundred years. And then it opens the doors, if you do one in the time of Spartacus, it opens the doors to do some during various conflicts in the future. And you could pick the best ones, and the more interesting cultures. And, it certainly would be cool to see Predator versus samurais. That would be fun. It would be cool to see Predators versus knights, like Knights of the Round Table kind of knights. Predators versus, maybe like around World War II, or even World War I, maybe era guys. It could be metaphors for different things. It could be metaphors about war, but the character development's all going to be on one side. It's not going to be necessarily with the Predator. It'll probably always be with the humans, simply because of the communications problem. Now, if you're going to do ones in the future, I think it'd be a tough call. You'd have to get like a whole translator thing in it. You'd have to figure out how the Predators talk with their weird mouths, or whether they get like a robot thing that talks for them. And then you're going to have to really drill down and figure out their culture and what they're doing. So the obvious thing to do, from the perspective of what we've seen so far in the movies, would be to do a Predator movie in which the Predators need help, and up the ante even more, that there's some threat that the humans and Predators have to come together in order to defeat. Now, the aliens were presented in that way, but I don't think, because they've kind of established that the Predators sort of like hunting the aliens, and that there's been rumors that or implications in movies and comics that the Predators actually spread the eggs around and then wait for them to hatch and then go down and go hunting. I think that's pretty irresponsible of the Predators, and probably something they shouldn't do, but maybe if they're on an island or they've got some sort of control on it. One of the things I'd like to see explored in the Predator universe would be how the hell they got spaceships and all this technology even to begin with. So obviously there must be Predators that don't hunt. They must have scientists and people who build things, and know things. And maybe they hunt, but they don't hunt nearly as often. And their planet must be very strange and rough for a culture to develop. Or maybe maybe they get their spaceships from another culture, and they have some sort of deal with that other alien culture, that they fight for them on occasion, and in return they get all these cool spaceships so they can fly around the galaxy and hunt different things. And they had that deal for a long time for whatever reason. That might be an interesting avenue to explore, if you were going to do more of a space futuristic movie. But it would be tough, because the Predators, it's hard to relate to a Predator. They don't resonate with the average human being. So that's why you need the humans in the mix in order to get that sort of human connection. Really, that's true with any alien kind of character. There's a reason, alien means alien. That's like a totally different culture, a totally different world that you have no idea what it's like, and you're just exploring for the first time. It's a very difficult thing to roll out in one movie. I mean, even if you look at an alien like Spock, who's shares, and he's half human, and he shares a lot of traits with the humans, even just as a Vulcan. Um, it took a long time for them to roll out all the various things that Spock, Spock's culture had, and it would have been tough to roll that all out in one episode. You kind of got hints at it for many episodes, and then finally it got rolled out in one big episode where the Pon farr episode, right? So I think with the Predators, that would be just as tough, if not tougher, to do. You'd probably have to roll it out over the course of several movies if you could find, human characters that could interact without being killed. And that would really be the challenge of a Predator movie. Could you do it? Yeah, I think you could do it. Could you make it a good movie? I think it would be a better TV series, because you could afford to do, drill down a bit more. I don't know about a movie. You could maybe build it up into a movie. Now that we have sort of Netflix and all these various channels, the way I would see it is you could do a 10 episode series, and then, maybe the big climax of the series could be a movie at that point where things have changed and the humans now work with the Predators for whatever reason, or there's various factions of Predators, tribes, if you will, if they're tribal. But that's the kind of thing you would explore. But you would need really writers that were really on point to make that work. I think the writing in the last couple of ones, I still haven't seen the Shane Black one, and I'm dying to see it because I'm a huge fan of Shane Black and he directed it, but it just got trashed by the critics. So I'm anxious to see it. And in fact, I'm going to look on Netflix right now and see if I could review that next.